must have taken a different approach to learn English, right? So, what did you do differently?
Yeah, well, first of all, I cried.
Obviously, yeah.
Like, well, I've spoken with many Indian people, and the way you speak is a little different. How have you learned that? Pronunciation is clear. It's
Okay.
more international.
Right. Okay. So for me, okay, here's what I did. These people can speak so many languages. These Indian people can speak English, Hindi, obviously, Spanish, Italian, German, French. It is insane how they have never went to school or they have. Okay, so what we are going to talk about today is like the question that mostly people have, which is like, can you really even speak fluent English if you are living in a non-native English country, right? And I think it's an interesting topic for the both of us. First of all, we relate so much. But also, when I talk to native English speakers, they always ask me, did you study abroad or did you live abroad? Because you speak fluent English, and they cannot believe that living in a non-native English country, you still can speak fluent English, which comes comes as a surprising factor to me that they think it is not possible. It's quite interesting. So, yeah, I honestly can't wait to get into it. But first, I would like to know your English journey. How did you learn? And first of all, why did you choose to learn English?
Very good question. Very good question. See, the point is that I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to see what was outside my country. And well, that was a very simple desire, you know. I was curious, just curiosity. And the point is, I've learned English at school, or so I thought. When I got out of school, my grades were pretty good. I mean, were average. And so when I had an opportunity to work in Los Angeles, I accepted it straight away. But the point is that as soon as I got actually there and opened my mouth, I realized that both I wasn't able to speak and people weren't able to understand me, or I wasn't able to understand them. It was very, very bad. It was a shock. Cold shower, completely completely cold, freezing. Because I had really no idea of how difficult it is to actually speak this language. I learned in English. I learned English at school, but they haven't taught me anything. Just a bunch of grammar rules that they completely broke the moment I opened my mouth because I couldn't speak.
Yeah.
I realized that I learned a skill that wasn't useful to me because what I learned at school was just being good at passing exams.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with speaking. Right?
Yes. Wait. Okay. This makes so much sense because for us in India, it's the same situation. We focus so much on grammar, like so much. I barely even remember what I studied. It was about tenses, especially like you have to detect what tense it is. You have to convert it to different kind of tense. And it was just not good. And you're just cramming things up. You don't really understand the things. And that's why you don't really end up learning the language, right? So I think in that sense, we kind of share the system of how we studied English in school. Clearly, it did not work out. Obviously, then you must have learned English. You must have taken a different approach to learn English, right? So, what did you do differently?
Yeah, well, first of all, I cried.
Obviously, yeah.
Well, no, well, actually, before that, I actually got fired. I got
Hmm.
fired by that job in Los
Yeah.
Angeles. They brought me back to Italy after 2 weeks. All right, so
Hmm.
I realized I wasn't good. They realized I wasn't good after 2 weeks, but not because I didn't have any skills. It was because I couldn't communicate those skills.
Hmm.
So to them, it was like, man, you're clueless. You don't know what you're talking about. You know what you're doing. We can't keep you here. And so I got back, and it was now a matter of proud. I was a matter of pride, as in I just wanted to freaking learn this language. First, I started working as a waiter in touristic places, waiting on people in restaurants, because it was a way to get in contact with tourists, get in contact with people who spoke the language. In fact, I remember during those years that I was always sold off because I was always speaking too much with the clients. I was never actually doing my job. I was always there speaking with them.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. And so then I had another opportunity to go back to the States,
Hmm.
working as a waiter in an Italian restaurant. But and one more time, my problem was the same. I realized that I hadn't fixed it yet, and so I started. I took a different approach.
Hmm.
I started hanging out with natives, but not like most of other people did around me, because it was an Italian restaurant, so I was surrounded by Italian speakers all over.
Hmm.
I did something different. I started literally copying every single sound I heard, not
Hmm.
the words, the sounds, and that got me into a completely different loop than the one I was
Hmm.
before in, and that provided my jump. Focusing on sounds instead of words, that provided my jump, and
Okay.
that was it's a learning this language is a never-ending journey. Okay, it
Yeah.
doesn't get, it never gets to a point where, yeah, I'm super good.
Oh, yeah, totally. Even
But
like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Even for the native English speakers, I mean, even for me as a Hindi speaker, I can never say that I know 100% Hindi. You can always come across some words that you've never heard of that were maybe spoken in older times, or like just anything in general. Yeah, learning never stops, even if you're like studying any subject. So, yeah, that makes sense. I'm so sorry for interrupting you. Yeah, so.
well, no, it was good actually. By the way, I had the same question to you. Like, it's true that uh, learning English and becoming fluent in a non-native English country is possible. Non-native
Yeah,
speaking English country is possible. But
yeah.
like, I've spoken with many Indian people, and the way you speak is a little different. How have you learned
Uh,
that?
okay, is it the accent? Are you talking about the accent?
I'm talking about not so much the accent. The accent is you can actually see that you come from India, but your pronunciation is clear. It's
Okay.
more international.
Right. Okay. So for me, okay, here's what I did. So it was never really to learn a specific pronunciation or accent, but I just got so much into like the Hollywood stuff, like the US movies or TV series, or just like singing English songs, because you know how much America dominates in these categories, right? So eventually these things also ended up on my feed or my TV. And I really got fascinated with that, to be able to sing like that, to be able to watch a TV series and maybe like mimic some dialogues that were like really funny. Um, Yeah, that's literally what I started doing. And my mom would be so worried about me because I would be talking to myself in a closed room and she'd be like, what is wrong with her? Who is she talking to? I mean, to an outside person, I might appear schizophrenic, like I'm seeing things and talking to someone that's clearly not there. But as a kid, I was like really, really imaginative. I'd be, having interviews with myself or like famous celebrities taking my interview. That's what I would imagine. And then I would be answering in English and I would try to like copy the accent. So, literally, this is how I learned. And you might not have heard somebody talk about this approach before. I guess it's just me. I learned in a really, really unique way when it comes to this language, if it
Well,
makes
actually,
sense. Yeah.
it does make sense. Actually, I think you learned it the best way possible. You literally immerse yourself, literally, in a
Yeah.
culture you wanted to explore better.
Yeah.
And so you study copying. Well, basically, this is something that really is really much in common in the way we face this language. We
Yeah. When you were talking about your job as a waiter, when you were interacting with native speakers, one thing that I noticed, like there are some Indians that have never went to school before. Mind you, they've never went to school, they don't have education, but they start studying like a little bit of history of India, and they start looking for a job near like the forts and palaces, which are like really common in India. And so a lot of foreigners come to India to visit these forts, and obviously, naturally, they want to know the history of the forts, like what happened here and everything. And so these people, offer to help. And these Indian people are like, yeah, we're going to show you the fort. We're going to show you how the whole thing went down, how this even is the place which it is today. And so these people can speak so many languages. These Indian people can speak English, Hindi, obviously, Spanish, Italian, German, French. It is insane how they have never went to school or they have never taken an official degree, but they are able to speak this. Why? Just because these people visit our country and they talk to them on a daily basis. It is mind-boggling, right?
Oh yeah, and not only that, I think you touched on a very important point. You said these
Mm-hmm.
people had never went to school.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. As soon as you realize that school has nothing to do with learning English, simply because there's the word learning doesn't mean that school has anything to do with it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like learning to cook. You don't need to go to school and
Yeah.
have cooking as part of your subjects. You just cook because you like to eat, you like to
Yeah.
experiment, you like um, to see what else you can make, and so you start developing your cooking skills. The same way is English has nothing to do with school. That's the
Exactly.
point.
Yes. So wait, that makes me curious. Um how many Italians are comfortable speaking English? Because okay, so I'll give you an example of India first. So not everyone can speak English, but a lot of people want to learn English. For us in India, it's very important to do English if you want to enter like a corporate job. In interviews, they want you to learn English to know English, sorry, not learn English. They wouldn't even like select you if you are not comfortable speaking English. And so for a lot of people in India, it's literally bread and butter to be knowing English so that they can get a job. And um, I get like a lot of comments and people are genuinely desperate to learn English just so that they can get a job. Or
Mm.
where else? I mean, yeah, I mean, apart from that, we don't really talk to each other in English. For example, in like northern part of India where we speak Hindi majorly, we would talk to each other in Hindi. I would talk to my friends in Hindi. I talk to my parents in Hindi. So what's the situation in Italy? Like if I go to Italy right now and I start talking to locals in English, would they think I'm crazy? Or do you think they would be comfortable interacting with me in English? Like what's the situation?
No, they wouldn't be comfortable.
Okay.
No, they wouldn't. No, Italy is definitely not an English speaking country
Hmm.
at all. And we share, as a nation, as a country, we share a lot of psychological problems when it comes to English.
Okay.
Even in Italy, people feel the pressure of knowing the language because of everything is so connected. Because English is so connected with everyday life when it comes
Yes.
to the outside world. Yeah, English has been connected to being cool, and and that is a very weird thing because people can speak English, and so basically they kind of tied their coolness
Hmm.
to how much English they can speak,
Yeah.
so much so that, for example, in Italian advertising, using English words make something look better,
Hmm.
but basically because people actually don't know the language, so they kind of throw in English words in the mix, and that makes them feel better. It's a very strange thing, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It makes sense. You know, the thing that you mentioned that like people associate you with cool if you know English is also such a huge thing in India. So if I honestly see two people talking to each other, both know English very well, both are from like the northern part of India, not an official setting, just like maybe friends or something, 99% of the time they are showing off to
Mm.
like maybe themselves, to like each other, or like to the people around, like, hey, we can speak English. These people genuinely, some of them just want to put you down. Maybe you're like having an argument with them, maybe they're in the wrong, and they would switch to English and they would
Oh
start
wow.
defending themselves in English. Now, this person who just speaks Hindi is going to freak out because they don't understand English or they can't respond in English. So they think, okay, the person in front of me is more powerful, is more educated, richer. I obviously cannot have an argument with them. So the one that is just speaking Hindi would back down is the kind of thing that happens a lot in India. And I mean, if you're speaking English, oh, you're rich, you are very well educated, you come from a well off family. Like, this is the image that is shown in India for speaking just a language, right? English is just a language. You can literally learn it at home, online, via books, however you want. It does not define your status or, whether you come from a wealthy family or not. But
So
it's
true.
it's it's really interesting to know that we share so much in common when it comes to the English language, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We share so much, and it's well from another point of view, it's also kind of normal because, like you said, English is a dominating language, and it has a lot of advantages when you speak it. Besides the obvious, besides
Yeah.
the connectivity and being able to speak with everyone, with everybody, but besides that, it has intrinsic advantages when it comes to expressing yourself because it allows you a much better freedom of
Yes.
expression because you don't need so many words to actually communicate in English.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the opposite, I don't know about Hindi at all, but in Italian, you need a much richer vocabulary to communicate properly. And actually,
Okay.
now I don't know if this is present in Hindi too, but when it comes to Italian, if you speak simple, people think you are a simple person,
Hmm.
simple-minded person, like kind of stupid. So basically, you gotta put up this barrier of strong vocabulary to be heard, and so hence the relationship with English as yeah, that's cool, because that sounds so foreign, and it's something that I know but you don't know.
Yeah.
And so it becomes like a way to show off, like you said before.
Yeah.
Although I've never heard anyone in Italy switching to English to fix arguments, actually.
Yeah.
And I don't think
I know, I'm just imagining like two Italian people arguing and one of them switches to English to win the argument, and the other Italian person loses it and like smacks the other person. Like, just talk to me in Italian. Like, why are you trying to show off? Obviously, you're not going to win the argument this way.
no. Besides, Italian has a very rich gesture culture, so that when you argue in Italian, there's no space for English, because Italian is way more emphatic. There are pros and cons, languages.
Yeah.
English is a bit colder, whereas Italian is very emphatic, very full of colored expressions. So I don't think Italians would ever switch to English. This is a good thing anyway. It's a good thing. Yes.
Yeah.
But getting back on the topic of, yes, you can become fluent in English even if you live in an English-speaking country. I want to tell you something. That I now live in Spain. I've been living here since 2023 or 2022, 4 years. I got better at English here than before.
Okay.
I got better at English here in Spain than in America. I also lived in Australia for 5 or 6 years. And my English is better now than then.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So you lived in Australia and the US, obviously English-speaking countries, and then you moved to Spain, which is like a Spanish-speaking country. And so how did you get better at English in Spain?
I started teaching English.
Okay.
Well, actually, I started teaching English 8 years ago. But in 2022, I took it a notch up because I opened a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And so I had to speak English for real. It wasn't just teaching English. I was mostly, before that, teaching English to Italians. And so most of my communication with them was in Italian, teaching English words and expressions and grammar. At first, I just followed the regular path. But then I took it a notch up, and I surrounded myself by the same suggestions I was giving in my early videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like I said, surround yourself with English. I did it. Despite I already kind of had an English job because I was teaching English, I started using English as my base language for everyone. That made them improve faster. And so that made me realize that was a better way. I recorded videos in English only before I had another YouTube channel where I was recording in Italian. I started only recording videos in English.
Yeah.
And well, of course, then there are the obvious things like watching TV in English only. And speaking with people. But it was a decision. I think the point is this, a decision.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. This is quite funny that, people talk about exposure. Like you would go to the US, you would by default be able to learn English because you're getting the exposure. Everybody's speaking English around you. But this is quite surprising because I know a woman, I think she's like a businesswoman who should like she started from scratch, I think a few years ago in the US. And she till this day struggles to speak English despite living in like an English speaking country, which kind of proves our point, right? Like it's not really necessary to be living in an English speaking country to be able to speak English. Like you also mentioned, you learned and spoke better English living in a like a majorly Spanish speaking country, which is really interesting, right? For me as well, like you said, you have to create like a virtual environment around you. I also switched my TV to like completely English. I would listen to, so I like listening to music, so all my music is in English now. I just switched the languages. What else? Yeah, and when it comes to the speaking part, a lot of people say that we don't have partners to speak to, and that frustrates me so much because I'm like, I learned to speak a language in a closed room, talking to myself, and I could create as many characters as I wanted in my head, and I could just talk to them.
Okay.
Right? It's so funny that I guess like living in a non-native English country, we maybe learn English better than a lot of people that are like maybe struggling to speak English in an English speaking country, right?
Yeah, yeah. I met many people from many countries as I was living both in the US and in Australia that they were literally struggling a lot. You couldn't understand if they, I mean, you couldn't understand anything they were saying when when they spoke English, anything. And there's a very bad thing. It's just myth that if you go into an English speaking country, if you live there, then you're automatically fluent. It's a myth and it's not true at all. Let me tell you what's real. If you get to I mean, there's a dark side of English, as in they kind of they if you don't speak fluently, they don't listen to you.
Hmm.
Especially, no, well, actually, I've seen this in both countries. I've lived for a short period also in the UK, but I don't have the experience there to say that. But both in the US and in Australia, if you don't speak the language properly, they don't listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so a person who says, okay, I'm going to go to the States, I'm going to prove myself, learn the language, to get there, and then they're faced with a wall, they're not able to get a job in their field, in their, whatever they studied, and they end up working in restaurants. I've seen this, of course, firsthand because that was what I was doing, but not as waiters, as dishwashers. As dishwashers, not as waiters.
Yeah. Okay. This makes sense because you know the woman that I told you about, she said that oh, it would be easy, right? I would start talking to them in English. I would practice my English with Americans and they would help me out and then I would learn English. But you're so right. These people are so impatient. They're like, just quickly say what you want to say. We have like other things to do, right? And they just wouldn't even interact they would ignore you, like they would ignore your existence if you're not able to speak English properly, and they'd just ignore you and then they just go by their day, which is quite surprising
Yeah.
because honestly for us in India, if a foreigner arrives here and he's struggling to speak Hindi, we would actually be really helpful because we'd be so happy that he is learning our language and we'd be patient with him. So that comes like a cultural shock maybe, that these people are kind of impatient. Yeah.
Well, let me make a distinction here. If a person goes to America or Australia as a tourist, then they get a lot of help. But if they go there to work or if they're looking for a job, then it's really different because the Anglo-Saxon culture about work is very developed. I mean, all the major products, like we're using Zoom to record this one. It comes from the US. Like they are really into the work culture is through the roof. And so in that situation, in that context, they don't take you seriously. They don't consider you. It's like you don't exist, basically, in that particular, in business. Whenever you're talking about working there, doing business with them, they don't listen to you if you don't speak fluently. There's another world, right? Because most people learn English, they don't learn fluency, and they're very different concepts, very different. And people don't care about your English, people care about your fluency. Like, especially when you go there to look for a job, they don't care about your English, they don't care about your B1, B2, C1 level status, whatever it's in your resume. They don't care about that at all. They look at how much fluidly you can communicate. Crazy.
Yeah, I guess it's also because like they're already like frustrated with all the work stuff, and then they have to listen to someone who is like probably speaking a simple sentence is like in like 5 minutes. Kind of makes sense. Is also a little rude. But okay, so one major wrap-up question that I wanted to ask you is like you mentioned, obviously there's no stopping in learning. There's like an endless loop in which you can keep learning a language and you'd never be a master, even of your own native language. That's a fact. But what are some of the habits that you are still following when it comes to speaking English, which you think is making you more and more fluent, maybe every single day?
Well, the first is the one I opened with, focusing on sounds. Yeah, not on words, on sounds. That's my first. That's my first habit.
Yeah.
And this comes because the English language wasn't born as a written language.
Yeah.
It's been spoken for thousands of years before they even started recording it. So it's a world of sounds. And so because of that, every time I want to improve my English, and I do want to still improve, I focus on sounds. And that is my first thing. So like the second thing is, my second habit is making it a priority, a decision. I help many people through private lessons, online courses and stuff. And what I see that changes a lot from the people who actually become fluent, from the ones who study for years but never develop the language, is decision. The ones who become fluent take a decision, like decide they will become fluent. And so it needs, and you asked me for habits, and deciding is actually a habit. It's not something you do it once and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm done. No. Because probably this is something you know too, Niyati. When you have to, since it's a skill you develop in time, kind of every day you decide. Every day you decide that this is what you want to do. Even if it's not something you do consciously, maybe it's just in the back of your head, or but it's there, it's present. You decide, consciously decide to do this.
Yes. Okay. This one makes sense